This broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Discraft. Discraft, the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. And by Breakmark, the official uniform and merchandising sponsor of the Premier Ultimate League and Los Angeles Astra. Shop the full PUL collection at teams.breakmark.com and rep your favorite PUL team. And by viewers like you. The PUL has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for your support. If you're enjoying the broadcast, we ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to PremierUltimateLeague.com to donate today.
First off, we would like to take a moment to pause and recognize that we are living in a world that is not welcoming to all and actively seeks to exclude and target people for their gender identity, specifically our trans, non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid community. As a league that strives to support and uplift all, the PUL does not condone any discrimination, harassment, or violence whatsoever. We are committed to our mission of achieving equity in the sport of Ultimate by increasing accessibility to the sport for and visibility of women, transgender, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender fluid people through high-quality competition, leadership experiences, and community partnerships. Welcome to the Premier Ultimate League matchup in the South Division between Austin Torch at Los Angeles Astra. Here at Olympic Stadium at Lusinger High School, I am Katie Killebrew, joined by Chris Mazer, and we are set to witness a heater, Chris. Both of these teams currently have losing records, and they are hungry to get a win against the other team. But looking at the captains here doing the coin flip, Chris, what do you think Astra needs to do to get the W today?
Oh, it's such a good question, Katie, because as you mentioned, they are both sitting at losing records, but it doesn't mean that they're out of the playoff hunt. So the game today matters both in the win-loss column and also the total score column. It is really important to get on the board early for Astra. We've seen them kind of come out a little slow in some games, and I think that they want to punch quickly and try to get a couple breaks out of the gate to try to set the tone against the visiting team. You can really kind of just like turn a visiting team down early if you can get a couple breaks and just roll from there. So I think that's really what's going to matter most for Astra early.
If they're going to punch those breaks in, is there a player in particular that you're looking to really lead that charge for Astra today?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be the person who has been leading the team in efficiency, and that's number 16, Carly Steiner. A dynamic player that is long, incredibly talented with the disc in her hands, and is a menace downfield on defense. Just gobbles up blocks and sets up her person regularly with her body positioning and just baiting other teams' throwers into thinking that her person's open when they're not.
She can absolutely be a menace in the deep space, but the offensive efficiency for Torch is something that I think is really going to set the tone for today. Austin Torch has fewer players here traveling from Austin here to Los Angeles on this slightly gray, maybe drizzly day. But the wind is in this stadium, and the wind is also at their home stadium. Is there anyone in particular you're looking at on Torch?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a key that we stole from the coaching staff. Emmy Marshall, one of their only travel players, number 13, is an incredibly impactful player for this team's culture. She is a teammate's teammate that everyone loves to play with. She's incredibly steady with the disc, but also on the turnover. She's probably the team's best defender. She just knows how to get the disc back and does it for her teammates. It's one of those kinds of players that you dream to have on your team because you're always looking over and saying, well, what's Emmy doing? Oh, what's she doing this time? Oh my gosh, she got it again. It's super exciting to watch her play.
As we see the team starting to huddle up, getting ready for this first pull, it feels like maybe there's a little bit of nerves from both of these teams because there is a lot at stake for both of them in this season.
Yeah, and it might just be the chill in the air. I'm so curious if with a little bit less wind today, thanks to this kind of gray weather we're having, I'm wondering how slick it really is. When we were walking around pregame, it felt wet. I mean, it was really like this consistent moisture. And if you're not ready for that tack early in the game, sometimes you can lose some, I don't know, confidence when the disc is coming to you and it feels slick. So I'm looking to see which of these teams, manages that adversity as much as possible.
And if we're thinking about those small moments and trying to outthink the opposite coaching staff, we actually have a really interesting matchup today in the two coaching staffs between Astra and Austin Torch. The head coach of Torch is Luis Ramos, known as Primo, and he's the head coach. He also coaches Team Mexico women's team. And on the coaching staff of Astra is Carlos Ruiz, and he coaches the men's program for Team Mexico. They come together to coach the mixed program, and today is actually the first time that they have coached against each other. So if you are watching on the stream and you are on Team Mexico or have faced up against them, you will recognize these two coaching staffs, and the two of them were kind of like, oh, it's another game. It's kind of fun to match up against them. But I think that they actually both really want to win this matchup, and they really want it for the players that they're coaching because they have invested so much in these programs.
I actually am looking forward to who plays the first chess piece a little bit differently, because what we did here is that they know their tendencies of what they might be coming with next. Kind of this rhythm and flow that coaches, a lot of time they'll naturally have. They'll set up a strategy, and that strategy sometimes is purely so the other team thinks that they're going to see a look when they actually change it.
And as we get ready for the first pull, Astra in the blue jerseys is going to be on defense, and they are going upwind. And that's Steiner with the pull as we get underway. Looks like it landed out of bounds and is going to be centered. The stillness that settled over this stadium when that pull went up, this crowd is ready to watch again. As we see Torch going upfield to Cannon. A foul called on the mark. Hanai Oda on the mark there for Astra, immediately signaling the no contest.
Yeah, nice little clear-out play to get started. Had a couple players in the lane and made space for Cannon to get a huge gainer to start the possession.
Cannon tries to throw the upfield, and it's too far. An early break opportunity for Astra as So picks up. Upfield to Sang. Back to So. So graduated from USC yesterday and playing in Professional Ultimate today, a very big weekend for the Southern California grad. Shooting upfield intended for Oda. Steiner goes for it, and Oda reads it better. Finds Meister to Oda. Up in the background, floating. Sang gets up and out of bounds.
Just felt like it was rushed even just a little bit, right, Katie? It was almost like she just forgot to set her feet. That extra split second makes all the difference in keeping the nose of the disc down for a direct pass.
It's also worth noting that the sideline is marked by cones and not a line, which is sometimes hard to be aware of the first time that you're on that field. The field is, of course, 40 yards wide, as we see Austin shooting deep again, but throwing it out of bounds, and it looks like Astra is going to get the disc.
It's on the cone. I don't think it's ever in bounds at all. There was a couple other hand signals that are being thrown around. There might have been a call of some sort, but either way, Astra's going to get it just right out of the end zone.
Meister picks up and centers to So. Finds Lee. Stall count rising. A pick in the backfield stops action. It looks a little bit clustered there.
Yeah, it's hard to see which of the two end zone sets that Astra's trying to run here. They actually have two completely different looks.
As it comes back in, Lee marked by Marshall. So hits Meister. Meister to So. The grad gets the first point for Astra, and the break for the home team.
Fantastic motion by So here. Give and go all over the field. Feeling her presence early. Just absolutely controlling the tempo for this D-line offense. the give, the go, and Meister, I mean, is such a really clutch player for this Astra team for the future as well. This is one of the young stars that we are excited about in LA, who we are excited to see what she can do for many years to come.
Yeah, and if you're watching from outside of the United States, also you will see Natalie So playing for Team Hong Kong coming up at the U24 World Championships. And you can see here this line for Astra talking about that. It looks like Coach Lindsay Cross is talking to them. Los Angeles has kind of 3 stratified lines, and they will run them, so they're really trying to lean into the depth of their team as we see a completely different 7 on the line for this defensive side for Astra. So this is actually a rough start for Torch because now they have to go upwind.
Yeah, Katie, this is as a former coach myself and a captain that got to pick your selection here when you win a toss. I love starting going upwind on defense in a game where wind could play a factor because you can really hit another team with a dagger early.
Mindy Radicke with the disc for Torch has to go backfield a little bit. Lo Guerin now with the disc. So it's a different line from Torch as well. Lo Guerin normally playing for their D line as they're trying to get this upwind score. Violet Way on the disc for Astra. Not a lot of options upfield for Torch. Great break throw coming out to Summer. Queena with the disc now. Summer Wilson, one of the main O-line handlers, getting it upfield, faking, and finding Queena back in the middle. Queena going back and forth with Clara Stewart. Clara Stewart now with the disc. Radicke having to go backwards. Wilson giving and going, trying to get that upline, a switch from the Astra defenders, stopping that momentum.
Ouch, that one looked like it might have hurt a bit.
It looks like Naomi Guzman going into the back, a little bit of Jamie Estes.
Yeah, just hope neither of them really banged their knees up too hard. It was kind of an awkward, kind of tangled moment there. They both look like they're okay, though.
Estes with it on the sideline. Getting it off. Wilson. Dug by Queena, dish. Estes really using the break side. Summer Wilson in the goal. Upwind for Torch.
Wow, what a crucial hold by this Torch, like secondary O-line. It was most of their O-line, but I think it's so crucial to settle in like this. And gosh, Katie, we're going to be in for a treat because we can already see how well prepared these two teams showed up for the other team's strategies. Torch diagnosed a different style of defense that Astra was putting in. They had a lot of players fronting downfield, but people in the lanes to stop downfield passes. And Torch was very confident and deliberate about dissecting it until they got into a regular look, and then they started to attack. And they ran this give-go to perfection for the around the side, find the break side for an easy goal. It's beautiful work from the Torch O-line.
And for two teams who have really struggled with that offensive efficiency, it shows a maturation by the Austin side to really be patient and continue to retain possession all the way through that point until they got a clean look. But defensive pressure is something that Astra hasn't been able to continuously put on other teams. And I would say that defensive line had a really strong mark almost the entire point, really small margins separating these teams so far. As we're getting a first look at the Astra O-line. Maggie O'Connor in the center with the disc, working with Maddie Shade. Stella Dietzick now with the disc, also another grad from USC. And a run-through block by Rowell on that reset, giving Austin a very short field. Brooks in pursuit, but it's up into the end zone. 2 quick passes. The observer signaling not in the end zone. Guerin now with the disc. Tight pressure from Astra. Maggie O'Connor now on the mark. Guerin going up line in the front of the end zone, just in bounds. It's Shirulu for Torch and the break for Austin, putting us back even in this game.
Ooh, what a powerful block by Rowell here to get the disc. I just anticipated the motion, saw the reset, like she's just been locked in on film and knew exactly where this disc was going. And then, I always get nervous when you have this moment where you think you've scored a goal and you're right on the line like that, and then you've got to go back and throw a couple extra passes, Katie. It's like you got to settle in and just pretend like nothing else happened and just get after it, which they did really, really well. The nice timing by Lou. Waited at the front of the stack for all of the motion to clear out of the space, and then made a nice inside step to seal the defender and win the front cone. Really nicely done.
Yeah, the score there thrown by number 5, Frankie. A lot of poise there from that offensive possession after the turn. And now Los Angeles going downwind.
We're seeing the 0-2 line already. This is kind of this like a pure efficiency line from Astra.
Steiner with the disc, shooting deep. Sang in pursuit all the way to the back of the end zone. It's sailing too far in that downwind space. The Lotus teammates in the mixed division not able to make that connection, even though they were on the same page. The wind robbing us of a really great score. And now Torch, the break chance opportunity going upwind. Duffy with the disc. Going the other direction, Torch trying to make, it looks like Orellana now with the disc. Big D by Sang, but amazing catch there by Guerin. Guerin finds Frankie. Now Rowell with the disc, upfield for Guerin, on the end zone line, past Steiner to Orellana, and it is a break. 2 in a row for Austin Torch.
Wow, that was something else. This like almost underhuck is one of the hardest things to defend when you are chasing from behind and you're trying to like go get the offensive player running away. It works out in the favor of Austin in this moment, and it turns into an easy goal after, this comes out of Carly Steiner's hands, and we're thinking, okay, this looks really nice, and it just kept floating. How does Guerin catch this? I have no idea. This thing is a total knuckle puck after Sang gets a full paw on it. It's just floating up in space. What a finish, though, from Torch after that amazing catch.
Yeah, Orellana was really doing a great job of driving downfield, making those cuts over and over and over again. And excellent work from Guerin. There's a reason why coaches before were talking about putting her on the D-line. She isn't able to make all of Torch's game, but she's an absolute game changer. And having a player like that on your D-line to go the other direction is so difficult. And now it looks like the O-line for Astra back on the field. Shade and O'Connor getting the disc up. Torch talked about trying to get the disc out of O'Connor's hands and limiting her hucking potential. Dzik with the disc in the backfield now. In between Shade to Pritchard. We're seeing a little bit more of a junk look blocking the throwing lanes.
Yeah, it's a really interesting zone, Katie. Sorry to cut you off. It's a two folks up front, a diamond in the middle, and then one free safety all the way deepest. It's really an interesting formation and not something a lot of teams practice against. And it works out because it flusters the young handler from Astra. Diedzik would just thought her teammate was moving up line and didn't.
And a turf from Torch goes the other direction. Pritchard picking up, trying to get it in motion quickly. Finds Diedzik. Up to Yen, who we haven't seen yet. Really one of the deep threats for Astra. Back to Diedzik. And it looks like Torch has settled back into this zone. Not a lot of movement upfield from Astra as O'Connor gets the disc on the far side. The lefty trying to get that up. Shade knew exactly where it was going and launches that flick into the end zone. Yen cutting deep. Guerin with the block and the assurance that Yen can't make a second effort.
An incredible play by Guerin, especially since she was not guarding Yen. She had to peel off of the back of the stack, go find the disc, find the player. It was beautifully done.
They complete the first pass this time. Nikki Gilbert up to, and now Duffy with the disc. Deep on the other side. Quina with the reception outside the end zone. Dishing, and Brooks gets the, I would say, block question mark. Because that was so strange as both players smiling and looking at the observer. If you're saying to me, but what a strange ricochet of a play.
Yeah, I have no idea what actually happened here. It happened so quickly. I'm curious if replay would give us anything, but it looks like Torch is going to hang on to the disc here after all.
And they shoot to the end zone. It was Rowell with the score. That weird one happened, and then they immediately went up line.
Yeah, just such a bizarre series of events here. You know, in looking at the replay, the disc was kind of flopping around all over the place, and it ended up being that Quina had was it Quina or Guerin? I think it was Quina who grabbed. Yeah, Quina grabbed it. No.
Brooks gets it, and then almost right into the hands, going through the players, and then Yance gets it on the other side of Brooks's body. I think that they agreed that she caught it, but it was outside the end zone, and then up line goes Rowell, and the score for Torch for 4 in a row.
4 in a row is right, Katie, and it's happening, I think, primarily. There is just some pressure in the backfield that Torch is applying. That seems like that Astra just wasn't expecting it. What do you see?
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that this is the first game for Astra that Sam Wool isn't on the field. Coming over from Super Bloom, she's really anchored that O-line handling, and because she isn't able to be at this game today, not an injury, thank goodness, but not here, Diedzik is having to step up into that space, and as a rookie handler just coming from the college game, feeling the pressure of seasoned defenders with a line you haven't necessarily practiced with, Astra isn't getting the disc back after they're having those turns. Not all of them coming from Diedzik, but I think a couple. And that is a really rough place to be in as a rookie handler because you're having to perform in these positions. But Astra has said that they want to lean into their depth, and we're seeing another line here.
Yeah,
Captain Avalon Agawa on the far right side of your screen is I think one of the emotional leaders of this team, and we'll have to see if she can start to get another point on the board, because right now with just under 2 minutes to play, Torch is up 4-1. Helm picking up for Astra, finding Guzman. Yee shooting deep for Roy. Roy in pursuit, but out of bounds. Astra just not dialed in that downwind space, giving Torch another opportunity to break. And it looks like Mindy Radicke picking up. Still on the sideline for Torch. Not a lot of options. Finally finding Lou in the middle. And it is a timeout call on the preceding throw. The Texas coach is not wanting to turn over this break opportunity. And Torch on fire this game so far.
They really are, Katie. And you know what? This is going back to the turnover from Astra. This is it's kind of a classic turn that can happen when you have a teammate who is so open that's running away, and you want to get it to them because they're so open. You're like, I got to get it to him. I have to get it to him. But if the disc isn't like set up perfectly to throw your huck, right, and your footwork isn't there, your balance isn't there, just rushing the throw is almost never going to be a completion. And it's almost better to just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have it in me on that for the momentum of the play or whatever it is, and then go next, right? And just go next. That attitude, I think, the go next attitude is going to be really crucial for Astra to get back into this game.
I agree. Just maybe getting slightly less excited that your teammate is so open. I think you and I, having been teammates and having been in that position, having a receiver that looks that open is so fun, and then it's so disheartening to turn it and get in that position. But credit to Austin Torch, because in their previous games they haven't been able to materialize the defensive breaks, and they have been almost perfect this game in their defensive efficiency.
Wow. That is saying something with a wet disc that on the road. That's tough to beat. So looks like Astra's going to come out with a junk look to start here. Matchup in the backfield, taking away unders with some backs turned. I love this little wrinkle out of the timeout by Astra's defense.
Yeah, almost exactly the same line for Astra, but a change from Torch as they're able to change that. Their O-line going on the field now with Estes in the middle of the field. Finding Stewart. Stewart upfield to Carly Garrett. And back to Stewart. Breaking the mark to the far side, but it's a turn intended for Summer Wilson, giving Astra hope again. As Helm gets the disc off the line quickly and now stands with it in the center of the field. Finding Hawk, a handler out of UCLA, going upfield now for Guzman. They've hit those open side and they're running out of options, finding Helm back to the other side using the full width. It's Igawa on the sideline, shooting upfield, far and out the back again as the buzzer goes. And I'm unclear because in the last 2 minutes, play should stop when it goes out of bounds. That turnover was inbounds, so it looks like Austin Torch is going to get this possession. We heard the buzzer go after the turnover occurred, and so Astra is going to have to get a D to stop this possession from Austin. Summer Wilson, upfield. Wilson with the disc in the middle again. Stewart and Wilson just giving and going. Wilson elevates it. It's floating, getting caught in the wind. Piles of people underneath. A little bit of a clattering together of humans as that disc sailed forever. I haven't seen a hand signal, but I would be unsurprised to have a foul call given that percentage of the players on the field all in one spot.
Yeah, there was a foul called here on this play, and this is kind of the classic thing that will happen if you are kind of swinging through to make the play. If you go straight up and there's no swinging, but your bodies are kind of colliding, there's usually less of a chance that a foul gets called. As soon as you start swinging your arm to go get the disc, there's a lot of chances that there's going to be a foul called.
Okay, that foul contest is going to send the disc back. As possession hasn't changed, Austin continues to have an opportunity to keep playing.
It's a really smart decision to do a foul contest, because if you go to the observers and they say it was not a foul, then it's a turnover. So Austin prefers to go foul contest here in every scenario.
Garrett upfield, and Roy with the block on Estes. Time is out in the first quarter, and Austin remains up 4-1.
Big block by Roy, crucial really to make sure that you prevent another score, to kind of stem the bleeding a little bit here as you can. I mean, 4 in a row, a lot of momentum for Austin. That was, as you mentioned, they were very hot in that first quarter.
Just 2 minutes between this break in the quarters. Anything you want, Randall. And if you're not here in the stands, you might be.
You might be over at Santa Monica Brew Works. Santa Monica Brew Works is the first and only independent craft brewery in Santa Monica. They brew California-inspired beers for those who live the beach brewed lifestyle. Visit their brewery and tasting room at the corner of 19th and Colorado. There's free parking. You almost never get that in LA. They've been the host to many Astra meet and greets, have delicious food and tasty beers. Go grab a pint and tell them Astra sent you.
It's great to see the home fans starting to filter into the stadium. It's a little bit colder and blusterier than usual here in Los Angeles, but this is a really fun game day atmosphere, and it's one of the things I really love is to see the Ultimate community coming out to support the players who are and coaches who have worked really hard. It's also worth mentioning that this is Astra's first season in the Premier Ultimate League. They didn't come together as a team last year, and then previously in the 2020 to 2023 seasons were playing in the Western Ultimate League. So this is a really big resurgence for the women's and non-binary players in Los Angeles, and it's really great to see so many people coming out to support these athletes.
Yeah, Katie, and this community has been growing, and in that year off, what we saw was this outpouring of support in Los Angeles for women's sports, in this team in particular, and that's why this team is back together and now in the PUL. In talking to some of the players preseason, so many of them were talking about the culture that was built in the preseason and how special it was feeling and how it was a long-lasting culture foundation for this team in the future.
And I love seeing those players on the sideline. Those are all of the UC Irvine players out to support their coaches, Naomi Guzman, and known as Stitch, and Sharon Sang, who refuses to be nicknamed, is just Sharon, as she would have it tell you. And they are coming up here from the Orange County in order to support their coaches. So it's really great to see everyone out there supporting their teammates and coaches.
And recently, national champions in beach.
Absolutely. A lot of the players from Astra were not available for their Philly game, actually, because they were in Virginia winning beach national championships. I think the third consecutive.
It was a three-peat. A three-peat. That's pretty special in any sport to get a three-peat, but wow, really cool that they were able to win again.
Well, they proved they can do it on the sand, but can they do it on the turf? Astra is seeking their first home win this season, and this is their last home game. So is the third time going to be the charm? Austin Torch wants that answer to be no, as they are now starting on defense, going downwind as we get underway in this second quarter.
Back to our standard O-line for Astra. Side stack, isolating Yen.
O'Connor finding shade. And we see Guzman coming over into this line as she centers it to Maddie Shade.
That's something the coaching staff talked about pregame, that if they were, the O-line seemed to be struggling, that Guzman was going to be kind of the steadying force to bring over, how much they trust her and her experience in these moments.
Brooks drops the disc and gives Torch the disc at midfield. Yance now finding that inside angle. It's Radicke, intended for Rowell, but out of bounds. A turn apiece for the teams.
This is something we've seen all season from Astra. It's their ability to communicate with their fakes. Their nonverbal communication on field is really, really great to see.
Yen shooting deep for Pritchard. Finally, the handlers connecting with the cutters. Leading pass for Maggie O'Connor. And the D reaching out was Frankie. What effort!
Stumbling, bumbling, tumbling, doesn't matter. Gets the block 1, 2, maybe 3 times. Who knows? And it's tough to block O'Connor.
And a huck going the other way. Floating Rowell in pursuit. Austin Torch not wanting to play with the disc on that sideline, wanting to turn it far away. And Astra has another 50 yards to go as Sang puts it too high for Pritchard going the other direction. Frankie with the disc now. 2 turns apiece. Guerin with the save. Elects to go backwards, and a big flick intended for Frankie and too far coming from Shirulu.
Boy, I am just so impressed with how Guerin is playing today. You know the pedigree. You know how good she is. It's just like when you get to see her play in person, and if you haven't had the chance to, please come out to one of these games and go see her in person. She's incredibly impressive in person.
Maggie O'Connor picking up on the corner. Upfield. Finds Guzman. Guzman also putting a big backhand intended for Sang. It is Guerin's. Just floating too much to that open side. I think they might have to think about throwing it on the field where Guerin is not.
Yeah, there's going to be we used to call this red flag. When you had someone on the field who could just really make every play, you learn to just throw it on the other side of the field wherever they are.
Frankie upfield. Lots of knee slides from the Torch players. Yonts with the frisbee, and a timeout being called by the coaching staff of Torch, their second and final for this first half.
Yeah, this is one of these smart kind of timeouts where you don't always want to use your last timeout in either half too early, but you also, when you show up with a short roster, you don't want to totally burn half of your team by having one of these extra long points. I think this is an energy conservation moment. As much as you might want the Astra O-line to get extra tired, that pays dividends too. You only have so many bodies. You got to take care of your players, right?
Absolutely, but they burned 3.5 minutes off the clock. We have 12 minutes to play, and now it's significantly less.
Yeah, it's a great point, Katie. The time is definitely already in Austin's favor. But I'd like to go back to this point of where they should be. Maybe Astra should consider aiming the disc right now. Right? I think there's a chance that you just have to throw it away from Guerin at all costs, wherever she is. If she's patrolling the deep space, let's take a couple unders. If she's in the backfield, all of a sudden, maybe that's the chance to shoot.
Stewart on the field now for Austin as we come back into play. Wilson and Stewart giving and going. Upfield, Labar almost got that, but it's in Queena's hands. Stewart with the fakes, guarded by Oda. Amy Broom working in the backfield, finally finding Garrett. Trying to use the wide space. Maddie Cannon now with the disc upfield, but no continuations. Back to Stewart. And Stewart is electing to go across field. Broom was covered, but Estes finding Wilson. Wilson almost bobbles it. Guarded by So. Garrett. Garrett looking for Cannon. Cannon bidding, but coming up short for the Austin possession. It looks like Krista Holden, the player from Astra, is also going to call injury on that play, hitting the turf pretty hard. in the defensive pursuit, but that was all cannons and just a little bit too difficult of a catch in that downwind direction.
Yeah, it's just, you see so many of these amazing highlights of players that are just like fully laying out and making this catch. You just underrate how hard it is.
Yeah, just too far there, that throw from Garrett. And a big block from Stewart intended for Oda, and a short field again for Austin. 5 turnovers from the Astra side. This was the same point that we started this quarter in, centering to Stewart. Broom behind. Broom gets the break over to Cannon. In that middle space is Guerin. Guerin faking, guarded by Labar. Estes on the doorstep to Guerin. And another score for Austin.
They are going wild on the Austin side, and they should be, Katie, because that took nearly half of the quarter to score. How many gritty, gutsy plays are they going to make? This layout block is just a full extension block from the Team USA standout, Clara Stewart, to get it back close to the end zone, and then the patience to swing it back and forth to find an easy opening. A little shovel push type pass here to Guerin, who is unstoppable, and apparently, does she ever need to take a sub? It doesn't seem like it, because she's going to play another.
Well, she came on later in that point in the reciprocal injury substitution for Austin, and then is going on the line again. But to your point, Chris, a lot of time came off in that, and Astra really need to score. I mean, there were 9 turnovers in that point, which was more turnovers than the entire first quarter.
That's a tough one. It's really, really hard to come back from.
Guzman with the disc. Astra going downfield. Igawa gets it. Has the receiver going deep, but thinks about it. Hits Roy underneath. Roy for Ring, guarded by Guerin. And a turn for Los Angeles. Looks like a foul actually being called on that play before I call it a turnover. Amanda Ring is a player with most of her experience starting in Canada. Playing for Halifax, Nova Scotia. So the very, very far away part, and a very different weather landscape from here in Southern California.
Although this day maybe feels a little more like home.
I don't think that we can compare this to Nova Scotia for 1 second, Christopher.
Well, you can dream, I guess. You can dream a little bit that Nova Scotia can be this beautiful. I don't know. I would love to visit. I'll have to ask her.
It looks like the disc is going to end up in a turn.
It's going to stay with. It's going to stay with Ring here.
It is Astra's disc as Amanda Ring finds Hawk to Guzman. 10 yards outside the end zone. Igawa. Great defending from Torch as Guzman goes through the traffic to Roy and stops the Los Angeles bleeding. Astra is back on the board.
Yeah, it was a little L cut coming from Helm off the back of the stack, and I think Guzman just thought that she was going to continue to the break side, and as soon as she released it, Helm broke off her cut, so it made all this extra traffic, but neither here nor there. It's after 5 in a row and a very long time since the very first point of the game, Astra has finally scored another. I mean, this is 100% to Roy from the moment that it left her hands, and Roy very confidently, okay, sure, whatever, traffic, I got it. No problem. I've been here. It's okay.
Lexi Roy is the younger sister of Molly Roy, former Scandal captain, and her 2 boys are here in the stands tonight, so I feel like Lexi would feel maybe strange being called Mama Roy, but really an athlete that has proved her belonging in this space, not necessarily the recognition of her older sister having spent the majority of her career in Los Angeles, but makes plays consistently and is continually so fast. She was a teammate of mine for a long time, so shout out to Scrappy, as those of her teammates call her. And a defensive chance for Los Angeles. Austin. Estes upfield for Cannon. On the sideline.
Ooh, huge pick downfield. Sang looks banged up.
There was, a collision away from the disc.
Oh, this was a tough one. Head down, clear cut. Ouch. I hope everyone's okay.
And no one taking an injury. Disc coming in with stall of 4. Stewart finding Broom. Having to lose yards, retaining possession. Now upfield. Marshall with the disc. Intended for Quina, and Labar picks it up out of the air. Sang now with the disc, and a break chance for Astra. It's been a long time since we saw one of those from the first point, and a turf from Sang. Stewart for Torch. 10 yards outside the end zone. Looking for Broom. Tightly guarded by Lee. Again having to go into that space, and that reset goes up and out of bounds.
I was going to say this the last time Stewart had kind of a loose turnover. There's just like this kind of this burden of talent where you're asked to make a lot of really hard throws.
Layout by So to retain possession. Floaty. Too hard for Meister.
Yeah, I think this one might have needed an extra rotation or two just so it could get out into space for Meister to attack. It just kind of got hung up there. And now we have another long point. Like, who's going to dig in here, right? You really got to dig in if you're Astra to make a play for your teammates.
Cannon upfield for Gilbert. Gets the upfield. Stewart. Small margins, but Austin persists, and it's Marshall to Gilbert for the open side score for Torch.
This was a fantastic handler defense by Lee on Stewart. Made that reset really hard, and then Stewart's very long. I mean, much longer than Lee. And Lee uses fantastic footwork to stop the around pass, and it just kind of looked like that was going to be enough. It looked like this was going to be enough for the team to get the block. Watch her work so hard to get out and around. No shot, and then a tight window completed by Torch, and ultimately they punched it in here to a strong upline cut from the far handler. Really hard cut to guard, by the way. And that's just efficient final possession out of Austin. And they really, I mean, they're putting it to Astra right now, Katie. I'm not sure what else to say besides they're winning the momentum battle right now with the way that they're playing.
Astra, I agree, looks a little bit shell-shocked. It looks like they're surprised that it's windy. And every home game that they have been in this stadium has been windy. It's been a directional wind, so they've played upwind, downwind games, and they don't seem to be adjusting to the wind as well as Torch is. And Torch is putting a huge amount of pressure on the Astra handlers. As we see O'Connor and Shade, this O-line now going downwind. Guzman on the far side, or the near side. Not a lot of connectivity to the cutters downfield. It's been all handler resets in the backfield, going upfield and straight to Frankie. Not enough space for Diedzik. And Torch with the disc going the other direction in the hands of Shirley. And now Duffy to Guerin. Guerin marked by Pritchard, but goes backwards to Lou. Frankie with oceans of space underneath. And in that reset space, giving and going
It's Robbins shooting for the end zone, and Dietzig with the block.
Oh, big play by the youngster on the goal line to preserve and get this possession back. To not give up another break here while the O-line is on the field is massive for Astra. It's time to settle in, though, Cutters. Got to get open.
There's a little bit of poach off the back of the stack with Radke way in the backfield, shooting upfield, and Guzman tries to go through Robbins, but Robbins defensively positioned, floating. It's for Guerin. The break! Torch does it again.
Yeah, it all happened so fast, Katie, and everyone's kind of looking around, wondering why isn't anyone open? Why aren't we open? And then O'Connor only had one chance, which was someone's getting face guarded, so let me see if I can get it to them, squeeze it in. I don't love the look throwing it that hard to the front of the stack. If we're going to try something like this, might as well go deep. But, really nice block from Dietzig. Would love to see this. I almost would rather just give it a shot downfield, right? Wow, what an attempt. What an attempt to try to save that pass. And smart by Torch here. Like, Guerin's in the end zone. Let's just flip it up there. Let it go get
MC Robbins there with the assist. And Guzman really did a great job of trying to avoid contact and go around Robbins, who was in a legal defensive position. She's allowed to stand there, and really good defensive possession from there. Couldn't quite make the grab. Robbins hesitates for not even a nanosecond, and Guerin so aware in that space to go get the block. 7-2 with a minute and a half left in the first half.
It's a tough position to be in, but every moment, every possession that Astra has from here is a building block to the second half. So take care of the disc, cut hard for your teammates, gotta lock one in here.
Helm for Igawa. Tight mark by Orellana. Back to Helm, giving and going, and two against the momentum of Igawa. Radke picking up. Finds Duffy. Duffy shoots inside to Yance. Yance to Downing. To Lou, inching closer to another break. And they get it! It's Downing. Oh, signaled not in. Downing now on the end zone line. The lefty backhand to the other side. And the score!
What wizardry was this throw, Katie? It came out, it's the craziest angle, but it was perfect. Floated into space, led the receiver. Clap catch, no defensive pressure because it's just, how? What a throw!
Huge momentum shift going the other direction. And this give and go from Astra leads to the turn. It was going the opposite direction, thrown behind Igawa. And this is Lou to Downing. Downing on the line, you can see.
Back-to-back offhanded.
And then you can get that lefty backhand floating to the other side. There's no chance for the defender to get there. Rowell perfectly positioned, and they're up by 6 with 11 seconds left on the clock.
All right, so whatever we do here, this is our possession, right? LA, retain. Don't, no reason to take a shot here. You got all the time in the world, right? Just punch it in.
Coach Chris Mazer here is willing to retain possession for these 11 seconds because in the PUL rule set, once time expires, it's not a buzzer beater until the fourth quarter. So whoever has the disc when the clock runs out gets to retain possession. The clock has run out, but Astra doesn't have to do anything else except for throw the disc to another Astra player, and they have as much time as they need really in this possession in order to score. O'Connor got it off the line to Pritchard, and we're seeing a zone look from Torch.
And no mark zone, no less. Interesting to say to Astra's best thrower, hey, we're not going to guard you when you have the disc in your hands, but I like it.
Well, Astra has proven that they'll throw out of bounds in this downwind position before, and that threw the breadbasket of Lee. Frustration from Astra, unable to score in that last possession, down by 6.
I mean, Katie, look, hats off. Austin Torch is just putting it to Astra. They had a couple messy points there to start the second quarter, but overall, my goodness, have they been efficient with the disc, confident with their resets, running hard to clear space for each other, and also not rushing into the Astra defense when there were wrinkles in front of them, right? Early in the game, they showed the patience that they were willing not to get flustered by some weird look. They said, we'll take our time, we'll get to our offense when we get to it, and as a result, they set the tone incredibly well so that they could weather that early storm, and just, boy, they turned it on. 8-2 at half is a bit of a trouncing.
It is, and Astra looks a little bit shocked, and honestly, I am too. I expected this to be a much closer game between these two teams, but Austin came to play, and they proved why they made it to championship weekend last year. It was a tie between a lot of different teams, but they are working every single game to improve, and they know that in this league, point difference matters. Wins and losses matter. So every time you're at a game, you can't take anything for granted. And it's one of the things that I think has really served this Torch program well since their inception in 2018. They are one of the original teams in this league, and Los Angeles is the newest comer. And I think Los Angeles has a lot of growing to do in terms of that gritty energy.
Yes, I have to say I am curious if this Austin Torch coaching staff is gonna have some message around keeping the foot on the pedal, because I don't know if they will. I played in Texas myself for a few years. There's this laid-back culture in Texas Ultimate where people don't really think about that stuff. It's like, oh, whatever, we're here, we're playing. Oh, what offense are we running today? Whatever, we'll figure it out on the line. Oh, we're winning the game? Cool. Oh, we're losing the game? Well, whatever, it's fine. I wonder if they're going to think about that stuff. Because, Katie, I think they might just keep playing Ultimate, and that's it.
Well, we have a whole nother half to come. This one showed up with some surprises. Los Angeles Astra looking to see if they can bounce back. Don't go anywhere, because we have more action coming in the Premier Ultimate League in Los Angeles.
Welcome back to the second half of Austin Torch at LA Astra. First, let me tell you about the after party for today's match. It's going to be just down the road at Farfield Beer Company. Farfield is giving Astra fans 15% off when you mention us at your order. Fans are welcome to bring friends, family, and children to Farfield after the game. Farfield is located at 4471 West Rosecrans Avenue, right here in Lawndale. Also, join us on Saturday, June 7th. At Farfield Beer Company for the official Astra Watch Party. Your Los Angeles Astra face off against Atlanta Soul in their last regular season game of 2025. Game starts at 2. Join us at Farfield Beer Company.
It's a good time there, but it hasn't been a good time for Los Angeles Astra so far. The story has been all Austin Torch in the first half.
Yeah, Katie, and something we have not talked about nearly enough is something that the Austin Torch defense does uniquely different than a lot of other teams in the league. They run a kind of force-switching defense where it's not like a force middle or a force away. It's that every other pass they are going to change which force they're deploying.
And talking about forces, Lo Guerin for Austin Torch has been all over the field, really marshaling this and just getting the disc in the end zone over and over again. But now it's Astra's defense as they take the field. They're going downwind to try to mount this comeback. They have one half to do it. But Austin Torch, I think, is going to have something to say about that, as they move it upfield to Jamie Estes and back to the middle with Maddie Cannon to Stewart, using the width of the field.
Gosh, when you have a thrower that can break the mark as well as Stewart, you want to set up as many plays as possible to do that.
Gilbert to Garrett, intercepted, up and over the top. Too much sauce on that flick in that upwind end zone.
Yeah, maybe just like surprised her that she got a gust of wind. This one kind of took a weird pop out of her hands. Uncharacteristic from Carly Garrett, who's usually incredibly steady with the disc.
Garrett, one of the few players who has played in both leagues, previously playing with Arizona Sidewinders in the Western Ultimate League, and now back with Torch. As Lee goes upfield to Yee for Igawa all the way down the other end of the field. Roy making a cut as everyone else filters into place. Trying to get it to Meister. Meister to Helm, who toes the end zone line. And the break for Astra to start the second half. They started that way in the first half, and it didn't quite make an impact the way they would have wanted to, but a great grab here from Helm as we look at that turn. Now Garrett is going to just pop that a little bit too far for the receiver, and then this from Meister to Helm. Helm, feet in bounds, and lays out. What a momentum change. What an energy shift in this first point.
It doesn't matter when it is, Katie, but if you can create energy as a team, it can have a lasting impact. It could be the last point of a half. It could be the first point of a half. It could be randomly in the middle, but you just got to do it. And this group totally believed that. Captain Agawa locks in with her dump reset. So crucial. Some players will turn away once they see the initial cut not work out. She knows that that's her job to stay with her, stays with Meister, gets the reset, and that results in the goal immediately afterwards.
PUL landing just past half field. Holden on the mark. Good to see her back on the field after going out with an injury. A big throw intended for Estes and caught. A one-throw score for Torch. Torch did that a lot in their home games. Estes a great target in the end zone. Astra looks a little bit shocked that they didn't get to really play defense on that point. Great efficiency from Torch, as you can see here. The throw from Radicke going up. And Estes being trailed by other defenders.
Yeah, not much more to say, but that, kind of cures the pain of being broken on the previous point. Just a one-pass shot here, easy as it gets. No real pressure on the away run here, and pitch and catch for an easy goal. Now, what do you think? Can Astra's O-line score for the first time this game?
They haven't proved that they've been able to retain possession, and they haven't proved that they've been able to do it for multiple throws. They're staring upfield a little bit, and they're really getting stymied by, like you said, this force Middle switching force defense, and it's really dissociating the handlers and cutters. But we saw the whiteboard come out during halftime and drawing it up, so we'll see if a change can happen as Maddie Shade picks up the disc on the sideline, finding Sang again, getting that Oriana matchup. That's been a fun one to watch. O'Connor with a lefty backhand, 2 receivers in the area. It's Yen, and then Steiner taking a step onto this line, really trying to overload it with handlers. Back to O'Connor. The slide from Sang, the shoot to the end zone, and it's Emily Ash for Astra. The first time that we've said her name tonight, Nessie, as she is known to her teammates, with the blue hair, making an excellent end zone.
And what an awesome play by Sang here. It's a low throw from O'Connor. Sang digs it out with the cleats up slide, pops up, no hesitation at all, rips this backhand into space, knows that Ash is one of the fastest players on the team, all the confidence of the world. She's going to run this one down, and that chemistry has been built from years playing together. We love to see those two connect in the deep space like that, and here we go. Maybe a little bit of momentum here for Astra, right? Like, we've scored twice here fairly efficiently. Now, defense. What can Coach Carlos Ruiz dial up to slow down Austin Torch's offense?
Maybe not even slow down. I think with that much of a deficit, they're 5-point downs, they don't want to slow them down. They need to get a block. And one thing that I really appreciate about Carlos Ruiz is he is willing to take risks with the defense in order to actually try to get things. And slowing Austin down hasn't worked so far because they've become so much more patient as a team. As we see Stewart upfield to Gilbert. Garrett closely guarded by Meister. Estes to Marshall. What efficiency from Torch. That angle on that disc surprised me and I think everyone on the field because it was so quick and awkward almost in the angle that it came out.
Precise, really. It hit the space that her receiver was running through, and it cut past any of the other defenders from ever having a chance here, right? This went flying by Agawa's head, like almost at head height way it came in, and it was just perfectly edged towards the back left side of the end zone there. Also, pointing out, we were talking about the potential defensive look from Astra early in that point. They showed a poach in the lane, but it wasn't meant to be a shown poach because the poach left and basically gave a free under. It was an interesting timing of it, and I wonder if that's what was meant to be dialed up or if the poach was supposed to stay longer because it actually just kind of said, Ole, here's your offensive lane. Go right ahead.
That always is an interesting thing for us viewers, wondering if that's the way that the coach drew it up or that's just what the players did on that particular point. Astra on offense again. O'Connor picking up and leading Shade upfield. No cutters going deep as we see Astra in this side stack, finding Steiner isolated on the far side. It looks like maybe O'Connor, Shade, and Steiner trying to do a dominator in the side space. Guzman providing an outlet as they get into their end zone set. Back to O'Connor. O'Connor looks like going down on a really awkward step there. An injury being called as she hops off the field.
Oh, no. I actually think she landed on her throwing hand in an awkward way and has hurt her wrist or hand or something because she didn't brace the fall correctly. This is a really scary moment for her.
I think for me as a coach, it's the non-contact injuries that usually worry me more because you know that something happened. But Astra can't take the moment to do that. Ash with the disc now is back on offense. Guzman trying to give and go against this changing mark. Breaks to Yen, who gets it on the second effort. Back to Guzman, trying to get that efficiency, and Ash juggling it to the ground. Turn for Los Angeles. Rue, one of the captains with the disc to Duffy. Igawa with a huge layout block in the middle, giving Astra a short field. They're going to get it on their own end zone line. The captain for Astra really laying her body on the line to get this, as Maddie Shade is going to pick up. Guzman out. Gets that little flip, looking for Yen, and it's Guzman to Yen for the Astra hold.
Wow, Katie. This block is so clutch by the captain. Full extension layout, reads the play exactly right, takes the perfect line on it so there's no chance for contact at all, blocks it all the way into the end zone, pumps up the entire team, and then, oh my gosh, look at this like swaggy little move here at the end. Oh, we're watching the drop first. It's a tough drop for Ash, but this block is so clutch. You dream of these kinds of blocks when you're thinking about playing defense, and this little spin pass here at the end from Guzman is just like kind of this little extra flair and flash. And the goal scorer, Yen, finally getting a touch here. They got it going.
Yeah, Chip Yen is the other captain for Los Angeles Astra and has really been instrumental as a receiver for them. She, at one point, was leading the league in scores, and Austin Torch has been done a really great job of almost taking her out of the game. We didn't talk about her nearly at all in that first half. Astra on D. We've traded points so far in this third quarter. After that initial break from LA, Oda almost gets the block. Stewart now with the disc. Back to Wilson.
I love this matchup of putting Oda on Stewart.
Big inside throw goes up, intended for Quina, and out of the hands. Meister picks up to Oda, and Helm
likes to shoot it in this position.
Helm had maybe been teammates with Carly Garrett in the past, but that was not intended for one of the Astra teammates, giving Torch a short field. Broom upfield for Garrett. Garrett, a block from Meister on the end zone line. The stop. Looks like no timeout called from the sideline. You could see the coaches thinking about it, but another break opportunity for Astra. Lee to Helm. Finding Roy, finally connecting with the Cutters. Igawa elevates to get it. Thinking about throwing it, but Cannon stopping and the momentum. Meister and Garrett. What a matchup between those two. Finds Lee. Upfield to Helm. Not a lot of movement upfield, as it looks like Astra was a little bit confused about the call. Igawa behind again. Helm just missing the mark on those throws.
Yeah, it's like 3 times now. It's just the placement of the pass. They're hitting the hands. Well, not all of them. 2 of them have been hitting the hands. They're just in the wrong shoulder almost. And right away, it's no chance to even take a breath. Torch with a bomb for a goal.
It's one of the things they've done so well is on the turn, Estes has provided an outlet. She's going deep in that space, irregardless of all of the turns and energy that had gone the other direction. And it's a really, you can see such relief on her face.
It's exhausted.
That was such an emotional point. A lot of craziness here.
I mean, what a crazy block by Meister. Just smart hands, low to high is the way you want it to go. This one pops up and over, and Agawa goes to the top shelf where the cookies are, takes it down, and then on the other side, if you've ever been hand blocked by someone, Katie, you want to get the block back on them because it's so demoralizing. Doesn't get the block, but then the throw behind by Helm, and right away, Stewart says, enough of this. I see Wilson going deep. I see Estes going deep. We're done with this point. Let's get off the field.
Nervy moments a little bit for both teams, but more efficient time-wise than they have been in the first half. Still over 5 minutes to play. Astra needs a hold. O'Connor still not on the field for this line. Shade and Guzman finding Steiner. No one cutting deep yet except for Chip Yen battling Garen, and Garen wins that one. The cut was maybe a little bit too late into that space, and Garen knew it was coming, hunting for that block.
Sometimes it's just so much easier to go get a disc when you're at full speed than if you're already in the space and trying to backpedal in position and whatnot, and that's what proves to be effective in that one, where Garen gets yet another stat today.
Garen, Steiner attempting to get the block. Upfield to Oriana. And I hear a whistle, and that was saved by the coaches. Michael Mathis, one of the assistant coaches, and defense absolutely saved possession there for Torch.
I call this the coach's stat. It's the only stat that a coach can't get in a game, and it's when they call a timeout and the very next pass is a turnover. If you get a couple of these in a season, you feel like a genius, and Mathis steps in and makes his presence known and saves a turnover. Wild. Totally wild, Katie. This game is filled with highlights right now. Both sides want it so badly, and it's palpable. You wouldn't be able to tell me what the score was. If I didn't know the score, I'd tell you it was tied. Both these teams are giving everything they have right now.
They are giving everything on the field, but the stat line doesn't lie. Torch is up by 6, and this is a similar position as to what happened when Astra was playing away at Philadelphia last week. They were tight. It was really close. The commentators, I remember Raha Mostafari saying, like, if you didn't know that the score was there, you would think that these games were tied. But Astra has to actually get it in the end zone in order to win. They have a quarter and a bit in order to try to do that, and they're going to almost try again. Stewart with the disc after the timeout finds Radicki, and a miscue in the backfield. Their handlers had been almost perfect as Oda picks up quickly to Guzman, to Agawa, and Astra gets what was a hold but felt so much more uplifting.
Yeah, the dirty hold here for Astra is very crucial, and get fired up. Agawa's having herself a second half here all over the field, but it was the coaching decision, I think, here, or the captain's decision to go pure zone out of this timeout. They hadn't done this yet, right? They go purely into a 3-person cup around the disc, and that made just enough of a fluster and confusion that results into an easy turn, short field. Gotta take care of it. But when you do, it feels so good to get those quick goals.
Yeah, the fakes from the Astra players were really effective, and I think it stopped the Torch players for just a second, and Agawa did such a good job to get open. She has been one of the emotional leaders for this team, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but she's one of the few players to have played almost every season with Astra. She's also a
graduate of USC, but spent a lot of time playing in South Africa. And she brings a lot of that international experience to this team and has a really deep dedication to spirit of the game and talking with other players and respect. She plays for Flipside in the club division and has been the Spirit captain for that team, and they've won the Spirit Award. And she's a huge value add, not just on the field with her blocks and catches and scores, but really with everything she brings to the team and the heart of this program in many ways. Torch on offense with the disc at half field. Stewart too low. Cannon guarded by Labar. So picks up for Oda. Floating. Oda gets it. Chaos in the middle of the field as Oda and So are playing together. It looks like a timeout being called, and I applaud that coach's decision because what mayhem we just saw.
There was a lot of mayhem, kind of some craziness ensuing, and also there was this like blobby kind of stack that was kind of forming downfield that was primed for some sort of a pick or something. And when that happens, more often than not, you'll see a turnover that happens afterwards. But you know what's interesting? You know, Stewart is such an important piece to this Austin Torch team. Coaching staff talked about it early in the game. Sometimes Torch goes as she goes, right? And yes, Torch is still up by a boatload here. But I think Stewart's given a couple here, right? This one was a low pass on an opening possession, opening pass. This one should have been fairly easy. So I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty important here for Austin Torch that Clara Stewart settles in, gets back to the fundamentals, hits a nice, bunch of breaks and hits the easy passes.
Yeah, we just saw a shot there of Maggie O'Connor on the sideline with ice on her hand. I don't know that it's her throwing hand, but doesn't seem to be ready to go out on the field, which is certainly a hit for the continuity of the Astra line system. But coming out of this timeout, Guzman with the disc.
It's a little bit of a hybrid line now from Astra, half O, half D.
Steiner finding Yen. Resets to Steiner. Out of the vertical stack, finding Guzman. Trying to connect upfield, finding Meister, and Meister, 2 shots, but no completion. Torch. Lou picking up for Frankie. Frankie to Rowell. Rowell spicy on that backhand.
I think she might have slipped on the attempt, too. It almost seemed like her pivot cleat flipped up in the air and made it hard to hang on to where the intended pass was going to go.
Astra has the full 80 to go. Meister sure with that one. To Yen. Great mark from Lou to stop the momentum. Sang was open upfield. Floaty. Guzman. But Marshall in that defensive space, getting another block. Lou to pick up again. Back for Marshall. Guerin to Rowell. The cutting through traffic was Yance.
Yance very fast in that space. It just like there was just enough chaos and confusion of who was actually guarding Yance, and then out of this kind of seam just attacked right at the cone to make a very, very sure-handed catch. And that was a clinical attack the open side offense from this Austin Torch team. Just powering down, making the grown adult cut to the open side and said, I'm just going to win my matchup one-on-one.
Yeah, Marshall with the huge block there on Guzman, the throw to Floaty, and then this Rowell had the turn earlier, but that is a very tightly spaced flick for Yance.
Yeah, there's something that is kind of, I don't know what's going on. There's this like yips kind of thing happening with Astra. It's like they're not spinning the disc enough or something. There's all this like floaty kind of, I'm just laying it out there for you instead of the directness of passes. What do you see, Katie?
Well, I think that this is also a very young team, and I think that sometimes when you don't have the big game experience, it can be easy to think, oh, now I can float a throw, but that's just not possible in this stadium wind. As we see Helm with another turnover, that time intended for Yi. Lou back on the field, the captain for Torch, finding Radicki in the middle. Upfield. Yance to Frankie. Similar line. Guerin back on the field. Guarded by Igawa. Upline from Radicki. Has players going away. Trying not to do that in the upfield space. Or elects to go around Frankie. To Guerin. Playing catch with it. Guerin shooting to the far side. Dug out by Rowell. The D-line for Torch. Breaks again.
Katie, there's so many things that we can talk about in this game. And I want to point out that this is a moment in which the idea that really good offense always has an advantage against really good defense. Because Astra stepped up and cut off many passes. The footwork was really strong in the backfield, stopping upline after upline, and it looked really strong. And all Austin Torch did was remain patient and wait for the open cut to develop. Option A didn't work. Option B, it's okay. Option C is going to be the one that we take. And then when they get near the end zone, their superstar, Guerin, takes care of the final pass by attacking the break side with a backhand. Hard to stop, and maybe not the perfect pass. It was a little low, but I mean, look, you got to just get it there to where your player is going to be wide open, and she did just that.
It's so frustrating to be on the offensive side of that, though. It was a first throw turn from Astra, and they're playing really hard defense, but they're really not getting the chance that they want to go the other direction. And that's just, I think, a finesse level of throwing that they're not really executing under pressure at that moment. About it, half field shade as we see a zone coming from Torch. Almost too far again, this time intended for Pritchard. Did Ash get it in? The observer says no. Out of bounds. Lou, the turnover comes after the buzzer. So no attempt at that break for Torch. Time trickling away from Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's kind of this weird. Look, these players play multiple rule sets of this same game, right? Because they play club together, they play pro. It's like this is one of those moments where if I'm on the Torch sideline as the coaching staff, I want to practice this acknowledgement of the time, right? Because in this moment, you only have so many seconds left. There's no reason to go pick the disc up quickly here and try to go fast break. You know it's the last possession. No reason to rush it here. And that kind of, they let one get away from them, I think, there. And if they're going to compete late in the season in the playoffs, if they make that Final Four, they need to not make those kinds of mistakes.
Well, not just the playoffs. If they're going to be making an appearance at the championship weekend, the 2025 PUL Championship is happening June 14th and 15th in Madison, Wisconsin at the Wisconsin Rugby Sports Complex. The two-day celebration of women's and gender-expansive professional ultimate will showcase the top talent in the league, promising an unforgettable weekend of high-level competition and community. Tickets are available now on the PUL website, premierultimateleague.com. And that is a ticket that I definitely want to get.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you know what? If you can't go and you're stuck here in Los Angeles, why not go check it out at Watch Me Sports Bar, With an "I'll show you" attitude, Watch Me refers to the expression of strength and empowerment. Watch Me celebrates achievements by women who continuously break barriers in the sports world and beyond. With community and inclusivity as their backdrop, they aim to create a welcoming and comforting environment, showcasing a steady flow of any and all televised women's sports with sound. They're also committed to supporting young athletes by providing them with a place where they can connect and be inspired by the achievements of female sports icons. Check out Watch Me in Long Beach as they create a space where women's sports are celebrated, friendships are forged, and empowerment thrives.
Lots of good options to watch great Ultimate Frisbee athletes playing the sport that we love. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. I know there's a lot of sports happening, but really, I think we're poised in this moment as we have the fourth quarter with 12 minutes to play. We have seen teams come back from this deficit, especially in these upwind, downwind games, if we can get a couple of upwind scores. But Astra has to do it with offense. They have to start now.
It's a great point, Katie. There really is. This is in a sweet spot where a comeback is absolutely possible. It is not over by any stretch of the imagination. More importantly, thanks for sticking with us here, because we have a treat between these two teams in all of the plays that they're making. This game has been filled with highlights all over the place, so stick with us to the very end, because I'm going to tell you what, this game is definitely going to show us a few more plays you're not going to want to miss.
Absolutely. Pull going up from Torch.
That might be a signal of the wind calming down, Katie. That one went a little further in that direction than others.
Hawk finding Havranek to Labar. So, facing that switching mark. Hawk creating space for Ring. And not expecting it, so going the opposite way. A turnover for LA.
Devastating. The motion was looking good, and just a miscue.
Frankie holds on to it on the sideline. Upfield. Lou runs it out. And Marshall. Open side. 3 throws the other direction. Torch trying to take the wind out of Los Angeles' sails with their continued excellence all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, you could hear. I don't know if you could hear this in the broadcast, but the heart of LA was starting to come out with some stomping to try to will the defenders to go make a play after this beautiful one-handed catch as it's trailing towards the sideline. After that, it was just open side, open side, open side, and Austin Torch is putting on a clinic with their balance across the board. Every player is contributing in this game.
Yeah, we talked about Guerin a lot, but we really could highlight so many players from this Austin side. They're doing a really great job of attacking with confidence when they get the turn the other way. And Astra continues to look a little bit discombobulated and worried about the score, as opposed to really trying to get the disc back.
Yeah, I do like the confidence of the Astra coaching staff saying we are here for more than just today. They played a lot of the younger players on the previous line to get some playing time spread out, no matter what the score is here. I think that's a really smart decision for long-term development for a program where Coach Frankie Rowe told us pregame, he's already thinking about next season with what's happening this season. He wants this thing to go on for many years to come, and he's developing a long-term program.
Guzman upfield for Shade. The pull play starts to break apart. Upfield intended for Zizik. Guzman gets it instead to Ash. Resets to Guzman. Sang. Shade. All the way on the other sideline now.
Towards the end zone, Guzman goes upfield, and towards the end zone is denied by Guerin from the backside. A little bit too casual, thought she had beat, and Lo Guerin does it again.
I can't believe this game that Guerin is having, Katie. It's unreal. That looked like a sure score for Astra, and off the back of the stack, Guerin reads it perfectly.
Oriana makes the deep cut. No one close by. Ash on the mark. Guerin gets it again. Trying to hit the multiple uplines. Almost behind Downing. Far side with Wilson. And a block from Steiner.
The player we called out pregame was just waiting to put her stamp on this one. Rejects the around backhand, goes up high and knocks it straight out of bounds.
Shade picking up. Ash with the fill into that center space. Guzman. A little bit more connectivity for Astra. Sang has Steiner going deep, elects to reset. Swinging around, Shade to Yen. Shade guarded by Guerin. Up for Diedzik, the high stall decision. Turnover again for Astra. The defensive energy from Guerin denying all the options as Duffy picks up. Threading the needle to Radke. Guerin. Oriana fighting for that inside space, elects to go around to Duffy instead. 3 Astra defenders in the middle, couldn't make it to the torch player. Steiner picks up to Diedzik. Two turns apiece. Steiner through the middle, almost too high for Guzman. Guzman! The leading flick, 2 players in pursuit. It's Sang with it. Ash towards the end zone. All the way upwind. The first time they've been able to complete that end zone to end zone. What a point.
Wonderful rundown by Sang. You see this giant smile on her face. Who knows if it even was meant for her. When this was released, it was just ripped into a headwind, and that usually means it's going to hang a little bit longer. Katie, earlier in the point, I was going to commend Guzman on being very patient on not throwing a huck. Oh my gosh, as we look back at the amazing block by Guerin, it was just crazy. And this momentum-changing block there by Steiner.
You said it, Chris. You said that they shouldn't go anywhere if they were at home because they were going to miss highlight level play. And that's what we're seeing in this as Guzman slices this disc upfield, intended for Sang, who runs it out and then calmly leads Ash, who had been following the play. Guerin, excellent defending, but couldn't really do anything there. That went end zone to end zone to end zone back the other way. And I think that kind of fight, right, as something that Los Angeles has been missing this entire game, the willingness to play defense and then work it up the other direction. Austin Torch has done it, but again, they have a much smaller roster here, only bringing 19 players to the West Coast. Stewart unguarded in the middle, finding Estes. Estes unhesitatingly goes upfield, and Rachel Johnson with the block on the low throw from Estes. Maybe getting a couple other yards, but with the swat. As Meister with the lefty to Pritchard.
Might see that same throw again. Nope. Okay.
Meister coming out of Harvard. From the West Coast, but getting her ultimate experience east. Gets the disc close to the sideline. Miscues with Pritchard. And gives Torch an upwind chance right at the 50-yard line. Stewart picks up, finds Garrett. And Garrett inside, dishes
Stewart with the disc again. Johnston on the mark. Finds Estes. Trying to go up line again. Well defended by Astra. Holden in the space. Big mark. And Holden loses sight of Wilson for 1 second. And Estes finds her at the last moment in that stall. Torch with the score.
Katie, I feel exhausted watching that point. It was just battling happening on every single matchup on the field. Everywhere you look, players are just giving everything they have to their opponent. It's inspiring to watch. And in the end, as you said, she took her eyes off for just a split second here. She turned an L cut into an S cut.
And that's the first there with the block by Johnson, and then Meister with this great grab, but a turnover going the other direction on a miscue. And this is the possession you're talking about. This mark from Way really stopping anything from going upfield. Holden there, you can see in the foreground, who gets it and then loses sight of the defender. Wilson just aware that once that cut had gone upfield, she was still viable on the other side. And such trust from Estes, the longtime teammates. There's a lot of products also from the Texas Melee program at UT Austin, and that kind of connectivity is really favoring Torch at the moment, as we see Meister and Hawk working against the Torch zone. Diedzik and Hawk finding Havranek on the far side to Meister. Shooting upfield, so aware of where the line is. The flick and the turn. Havranek turned her back. Another miscue for Los Angeles, giving Torch the disc, now going downwind. Elevator over to Guerin. No deep cuts. Guerin holds the disc. Havranek slow to get on the mark. Diedzik in pursuit. Rowell all the way down. Too far for Rowell, who comes down hard on that attempt. Injury called.
Oh, you see this turf. It looks so lush and, it is springy. But oh, God, it really hurts to bounce off the turf like this. When you give everything you've got and your full body weight is going and you just hit the turf and bounce like this, it just makes your whole body feel like compressed almost. It's so hard to come up from.
Yeah, Rowell's been a player who's really impressed me this game with her continued effort, right? The work rate to keep making those defensive plays. She's very often getting the mark matchup on the main handler and then going the other direction with the disc. She's been a real force for this team today as Diedzik picks it up, floats over the top, finds the USC teammates connecting now with Hawk, giving back and forth. Havranek coming back from an ACL injury. Great to see her playing on the field as opposed to coaching, which she had done the previous season. Patience needed from the Astra side as they're working against this front zone. So, faking. Back to Hawk.
Yeah, there's nothing special or, uniquely different about this zone, Katie. It is a pure 3-3-1 look where you're just saying we dare you to try to go through the middle, and that's why, because that's where they're, the greatest concentration of players for the defense is sitting.
And it's a score for Torch. Two throws the other direction. The unhesitating cut from Yance.
That is the heart of that strategy, right, Katie? When you're running a zone like this, you're hoping for there to be a turn either in the center of the field where you've put all of these players, or you want your deep to get a block, which happened earlier in the point. And then you want those folks who are guarding up front on the mark to just go deep right away. because you have this opportunity for this dagger shot quickly, because usually a handler isn't ready to then peel off and go guard the end zone right away.
Yeah, Dzik was there, but Duffy trusted the receiver, and Yance delivered. There were many defenders in the space. I think both Lou and Gilbert getting a hand on that disc in the zone. I think that's the real difference in these programs right now is the maturity of the throwers, and maybe how these teams have learned over the course of this season to really retain the disc on offense, and then when they get the chance on D, really quickly going the other direction, what we would call fast breaking. The wind pushing that a little bit in the opposite direction from whence it came, as Steiner, Guzman, and Pritchard are running a dominator set. They all play together in the mixed division for LA Lotus. Guzman now with the disc. All the cutters are far upfield, finding Steiner. And then Steiner again slowly chipping away at the yardage, finding Guzman on the other side. And the L cut, the three players, no one else has touched it yet. Now they're 10 yards outside the end zone. And then Guzman upfield for Pritchard on the doorstep. And it's the three of them all the way to the end zone. Pritchard to Guzman. They had to do something different. The first clean point we've seen in a while, and it just took a little bit of domination from those three players.
What a great point. It is so exhausting to do this on offense. It's even more exhausting to try to play defense against a dominator. For 40 yards or 50 yards, sure, that's usually what it happens, but for 80 full yards, you almost never see this out of a team, and you thought right there at the very end that it was going to be someone else to get it, but nope. Once again, Guzman, hard cut up line. Pritchard loves the offhanded backhand, really thoughtful with the way that she can throw it into space and to lead her teammates, and there it is. A clean hold, and looked a really nice one. Put that one on film, study it. Lots of good cuts everywhere on the field.
I did want to shout out Maddie Shade, who also made the correct cut in that time, pulled the defender and the focus, and created space on the other side for Guzman. But it might be a little bit too little, too late for Astra, as they are in an 8-point hole with 3 minutes to play. It will have to be efficient if they're going to make a comeback, but so far Torch has proved that they're there. We're seeing a zone look from Astra as Stewart picks up, finds Carly Garrett.
Yeah, a really quiet game out of Garrett, who is a relentless cutter downfield for Austin, but a true space eater. I mean, she just chews up yards for offenses. I had the pleasure of getting to play with her many years ago.
Block from Yen on the underneath, a little bit too complacent as we see Meister shooting deep. Stewart denies Yen, almost a second effort, but 2 quick turns for each team.
No, that's, you know what, I would normally say that one team's hub handler wouldn't have a chance against the other team's ace cutter, but that's what you get with Team USA products like Clara Stewart.
SD is going deep. Garrett gets it and spikes. The hold for Austin, extending their lead to 9.
Yeah, extending their lead, and certainly the dagger that, if it wasn't already put away, this one just says, hey, we are done now. But before that, there was a little bit of some bright spot here where Astra was able to get the disc. But when it's all said and done, a gorgeous deep shot to Carly Garrett, who is a goal-scoring machine. Usually, even if she's having a quiet day today.
I was going to say, Estes has been in the end zone probably more, but in that case, putting a stat up on the primary assist.
2 minutes left, Katie. I'm looking forward to hopefully at least 2 more highlights. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, we also know that where we're going after this, which is the Farfield Beer Company for the after party.
Oh, that's a great point. Farfield is giving Astra fans 15% off when you mention us at your order. Fans are welcome to bring friends, family, and children to Farfield after the game. It's located on Rosecrans Ave right here in Lawndale.
So if you're in LA but you're not at the game, you can leave right now and head there and meet us at the bar. But Astra still has something to prove as Lee gets the field and they're going downwind. Guzman and Oda. Great fakes from Oda. Guzman finding Helm. Helm has Roy going deep but guarded by Guerin. Elects not to try the deep. Up and over the top. Helm turns it.
Just a tough game from Helm today. She's going to look back at this and want a number of these throws back. And I think in looking at it, it's a lot to do with just the balance at the throwing point.
Blown coverage by Astra. No one takes Gilbert in the backspace. Roy tries to run the entire length of the field to get there, but Torch going upfield. Oriana to Duffy. Radicki now. Captain Shirulu finds Guerin with that backhand break upfield to Robbins, marked by Yi. Tightly defended and sneaking one inside. Gilbert digs it out. Toulouse really working in these small spaces, and it's another one through the traffic to Robbins for the Austin score. Up by 10. A statement today from Austin Torch.
Yeah, for a team that's had a fairly, I guess, a little bit of an easier schedule earlier in the season, but not all the results that they wanted, coming into kind of a hostile environment in LA with a team that has a lot to prove, they came out and put a statement on this game. Winning by 10 or more is a huge margin in this league.
And they're really patient here on the end zone. You can see Lou faking, and that offhanded backhand through traffic to Robbins, who knew exactly where it was coming. It looks like a timeout being taken by Los Angeles with 30 seconds left in the game. Coach Rowe talking to the entire team. You can see the body language difference in between those two things. Certainly not how Los Angeles wanted today to go.
No, this almost looks and feels like the end of game huddle, but it's not. We have another 30 seconds, and you know what, as a coach, Katie, what are you saying to this team right here in this moment with 30 seconds left? What is the message to them?
For me, having actually coached this team, I was the coach of Astra, I think it's really about belief. We've seen belief wavering, but these are really great players who aren't having a great day. And I think that it's remembering that continues to live within you and prove to yourself that it can be there. And also remembering that, you know what doesn't show the score? The highlight reel. The highlight reel is maybe what you're playing for at this point. And with this line, LA can do it as we see the pull going up from Torch with the clock winding down. Upfield to Shade. We saw them do a dominator on a previous point. Guzman and Shade giving and going. The toss and then collection. Steiner. Big flick from Steiner. It's Brooks in the middle. Brooks to Helm.
And the crowd is still in this game, supporting every moment. Absolutely love to see that support out here. First time we've said Brooks' name today, Katie. This Austin Torch defense is unique in the way that they approach the game, and they managed to take out the two most important pieces to the Astra offense. Brooks and Yen had very quiet days, and I think hats off to the way that they play collective defense as a group. it's not just one or two players. Sure, there's going to be one or two players with a few extra stats at the end of the day, but the whole defense funnels to those players so that the blocks can be made.
Yeah, Brooks there just being carried off the field by Havranek, having a little goofy moment, but Brooks is going to be a player to watch in the coming years. Unsure where she will play club this season, but they're sure to make an impact when they go, because such an impact coming out of COVID for UCLA, a huge athlete, and just doesn't really have the big game experience yet. But when that all starts to click into place, she's one of the players I really have had my eye on, hopefully to see some big things coming. It's a buzzer beater, and Stewart, with the experience, lets the clock run out with some fakes, and that is the win for Austin Torch. Feeling a little bit anticlimactic, but having those fewer players, they didn't want to run more cut than they absolutely had to, and today they elevated their game and proved why they are in the hunt to be at the top of the South Division here in the Premier Ultimate League.
Yeah, it's a really competitive division. The South is going to be really tough to get out of, and they just complicated things by doubling up Astra here today. They are definitely in the hunt, and I predict, I don't know if this will come true, but Katie, I have a feeling like it's going to come down to some point diff and some tiebreakers by the end of the season. It'll be really interesting to see where this all settles in. Super important matchup coming up against Raleigh and DC. That could totally change the scope of the South for who ends up getting into the Final Four. It's, a wonderful game from these two teams with a plethora of highlights, and hats off. Austin Torch played wonderfully. If Guerin were able to play a full season and was there for every game, she would have to be in the top 3 for MVP of this league, just on this performance alone. She's an incredible difference maker, does it all over the field, picks her spots, is not trying to overly dominate. It's just when the disc comes in her direction, generally, she's making a play. It's incredible to watch, and what a game from her and from the rest of her team, Austin Torch.
Absolutely. I was saying the thing that really impressed me most about Austin Torch today was how much work they did away from the disc. They're not really having to make highlight throws or big breaks or, layout catches, which they can do, and they proved. But because they're working so hard off of the disc, creating space and continuing to run in those places, they were able to almost look like outwork and outsmart Astra through this game, because anytime that Astra turned the disc, Torch was already heading to the end zone with multiple players, and Astra wasn't ready to play D on those players. But I think that this is going to, wave a flag in the air and say, DC, Raleigh, we're coming for you. Yeah. And they made it to championship weekend last game. And so I think it's really interesting to see how this is going to play out in the end of the thing. Unfortunately for Austin, it might not totally be in their control, because they did lose games. They came into this game being 1-2 and now 2-2 in the division, but we've seen it come down to point diff. We've seen it come down to that before, and that's one of the great things about this league. It's something I've really enjoyed playing, being a part of in the Premier Ultimate League.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic effort across everything, and we're going to take a look at the play of the game today.
O'Connor to Sang leading Ash out into space. It was a bright spot for Astra's offense and the play of the game. I love there's nothing from Steiner, and then really moving all the way to the other side of the field.
Yeah, just the athleticism to pop up in an instant. I mean, we're watching that in slow motion. It feels like real time. She pops up so quickly and then rips the backhand out into space. Just a fantastic play from Sang and a finish there. But in the end, Katie, it was Austin Torch.
It was all Austin Torch. Thank you for joining us for this game in the Premier Ultimate League. Austin Torch takes down Los Angeles Astra 18-9. I am Katie Killebrew, joined by Chris Mazer, our production team at TVX. We have enjoyed having you here. We'll see you at Farfield Beer Company after this, and more to come in the Premier Ultimate League.